well, I'm gonna butcher her name, but I think it's Razan.
Yeah, Razan
A medic.
al-Najjar.
Tell the story of her for everybody so they can understand exactly what we're dealing with here.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what motivated me to do something about the Great March because I was so affected by seeing this young, incredible female medic. She was 19 years old. She was the first female medic on the scene participating in the Great March of Return. This was an unprecedented action of tens of thousands of Palestinians going to this artificial fence that partitions them from their land, and just protesting peacefully, like you said. I mean, holding flags, standing
Yep.
there, and they were mowed down by Israeli snipers. The live ammunition started at 9 in the morning the very first day.
Oh,
They went out there every single Friday, despite risking life and limb, to just protest, right? And to protest these completely abysmal conditions that they're forced to live in. Razan al-Najjar was just one of many medics there, but she was just an incredible trailblazer and super badass, like feminist. I mean, there was an interview with her with the New York Times, and she was just like, I dare you to find anyone with as much bravery as me, just like going off, like spitting fire. And Israeli snipers actually, they knew who she was. She had been there for many, many weeks. She had treated many, many people. She saw someone die in her arms, and they eventually targeted her and sniped her dead. And we talked to her family. Her family and colleagues describe who she was and keep her memory alive. And I think one of the most disgusting things that happened after she was murdered by an Israeli sniper is that the IDF released a propaganda video that
mm,
claimed she was a human shield.
yep.
And they doctored her speech because she was giving a lot of interviews because she was like, and I think that she was intentionally targeted because they knew that she was like the face and they didn't
Yep.
want her to be there. But she gave an interview, I think, to Turkish television where she was just like, I'm a human shield as a combat medic. Like, I put myself in the line of fire to save people. Using that term to say, like, I put my body in front of the wounded to save their lives. And they cut it maliciously and just said, like, I'm a human shield. And they're just like, see, even Hamas is making these medics become human shields for them. It's just like, my God, I mean, how low can you possibly go? And what was so disgusting is after she was murdered, all of corporate media like covered it because it was just such a huge scandal, but they gave airtime. They maybe took like a 30-second soundbite from her mom or her colleague, and then they would give like 10 minutes to an Israeli general
Oh,
talking about how
Jesus
she was
Christ.
just like hit with shrapnel and died, or like, oh, it was just an accident. Well, she shouldn't have been there. And it's
Oh,
like that's the final word. And that, I think that just speaks to just how grotesque the nature of the coverage is, and just this uncritical nature of just not questioning, and just becoming essentially state stenographers. But Kyle, it's true. I mean, we're talking about 35 children shot,
yeah.
deliberately shot, and that's what this UN report conclusively found, was that all of these protected categories of the Geneva Conventions were targeted and shot dead by Israeli snipers hiding behind sand dunes, sometimes
Yep.
hundreds of yards away. And one international war correspondent there said something really just profound. She was just like, I've covered wars in Libya, Iraq, Syria. She's like, I've never seen anything like this because this is a slow, methodical shooting.
Yep.
This is just people just milling around, and every 5 minutes you'll hear a shot ring off and someone else will just collapse on the ground
Mm.
and die. Like, that is a very, like, I'm getting chills all over my body because that is like really sadistic and a harrowing thing. And we were told by the media that it was just clashes. That day that 60 people were killed in one day, that was just clashes, told in the passive voice, oh, Palestinians just died. No, they were murdered. This was a massacre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
One
no one was held accountable.